The truth is, 99% of people want success, but only 1% are willing to think differently, act differently, and stay consistent when it's not easy. The 1% aren't lucky, they're intentional. Let's talk about something that separates the dreamers from the doers, the 1% mentality. Most people talk about success like it's a lottery ticket, something you hope to win. The 1% see it differently. They know success is earned, not won. They understand that every decision, every thought, every habit, it all compounds when you look at someone who's performing at the top of their game, whether that's in business, health, relationships, or mindset. You're not looking at someone who's better than you. You're looking at someone who decided to stop living like the 99%. The 99 hit the snooze button. The 1% get up even when they don't feel like it. The 99% complain about how things are hard. The 1% figure it out anyway. The 99% say someday. The 1% say today. The difference isn't talent. It's mentality. You don't need to be smarter, richer, or luckier. You just need to start thinking like the 1%. That means doing what most people won't, showing up even when it's uncomfortable. That means betting on yourself when no one else does. That means remembering you are one decision away from changing your life. Every single day, you have two choices: stay the same or step into the 1%. So stop talking about what you want. Start acting like you already are, because the truth is, success isn't out there. It's built in here. Taking full responsibility is the foundation of the 1% mentality. It's not just a mindset shift, it's a complete transformation in how you see yourself and the world. When you take full responsibility, you stop living in reaction mode. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions, the right people, or the lucky break. You realize that no one is coming to save you, and honestly, that's the most empowering truth you'll ever accept. Because each moment you stop blaming circumstances, you start taking control of your future. Most people waste years pointing fingers, blaming their parents, their boss, the economy, or their past. The 1% understand that blame changes nothing, but responsibility changes everything. When something goes wrong, most people look for someone to hold accountable. They say, "It's not my fault," or "I can't help it." The one question changes the game about it. That one question changes the game. It moves you from victim to victor. It moves you from powerless to powerful. You start realizing that your results are not shaped by what happens to you, but by how you respond to what happens. You might not control every situation, but you always control your attitude, your effort, and your reaction. That's where true freedom begins. When you take ownership of those three things. Taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong. It means acknowledging that your response determines your outcome. You can't control the weather, but you can control whether you complain about the rain or use it as time to focus, plan, or prepare. You can't control how other people act, but you can control your energy, your focus, and your next move. The 1% understand that excuses might sound good, but they build weak lives. Ownership, on the other hand, builds strong ones. Think about it. Every time you make an excuse, you give away a little bit of your power. You tell yourself, "I can't," when what you really mean is, "I won't." The 1% refuse to live that way. They refuse to surrender their power to things they can't control. They take charge of their habits, their mindset, and their time. They understand that the only person standing between them and the life they want is themselves. That realization is both terrifying and freeing, because if you are the problem, you are also the solution. Taking full responsibility means you stop waiting for motivation to show up and start creating it yourself. You stop saying, "I'll do it when I feel ready," because you know that readiness is an illusion. You start acting now, even when you're uncertain, even when it's uncomfortable. You learn to trust your own effort instead of luck. You stop complaining about where you are and start building where you want to be. The 1% aren't more talented or more privileged. They've just accepted that their life is their responsibility. They've stopped outsourcing their happiness, their progress, and their success. They know that everything changes the moment they do. So they wake up every day and ask themselves one powerful question: what can I do today to move forward? And then they do it. Exciting every day, but the truth is, real growth often feels boring. The 1% understand this. They know consistency is not about perfection. It's about showing up again and again, even when no one is watching, even when it feels like nothing is happening. The 99% wait to feel ready, wait for motivation to strike, wait for the perfect time. The 1% act regardless of how they feel. They understand that feelings are fleeting, but habits are powerful. You can't rely on motivation because it comes and goes like the weather. But discipline, that's something you build. It's a muscle that grows stronger every time you choose action over comfort. The one, know that small steps taken daily will take you further than bursts of energy taken occasionally. They don't aim to be perfect, they aim to be consistent because consistency compounds. Think about it. The person who works out 3 times a week for a year will be in better shape than the person who trains hard for 1 month and then quits. The person who writes 1 page every day will finish a book faster than the one who waits for inspiration. Progress is built in silence, in the moments when no one claps, no one notices, and no one praises you. Those who succeed aren't the ones who did everything right. They're the ones who refused to quit when it got dull or difficult. Consistency also builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce a simple truth: I can rely on me. That's how confidence is born. It's not through achievements or praise, but through the daily act of doing what you said you'd do. You stop questioning whether you're capable because your actions prove it. The 1% build this kind of trust daily. They don't wait for the right mood or external motivation. They do it because it's who they are becoming. Most people quit because they expect instant results. They go to the gym for a week and don't see change, so they give up. They post NT for a month and don't get attention, so they stop. But the 1% keep going. They know the process is invisible before it becomes obvious. They trust that the effort they put in today might not pay off tomorrow, but it will pay off eventually. They play the long game, understanding that success is built quietly, one unexciting day at a time. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's doing the work when no one cares, when it's uncomfortable, when it feels like nothing is changing. But that's exactly where transformation happens. In the repetition, in the routine, in the relentless decision to keep moving forward. The 1% don't aim for perfect days. They aim for progress no matter how small, because they know that perfection is an illusion, but consistency is unstoppable. Thinking long-term is what separates those who live for validation from those who live for vision. The 1% understand that success is not about how fast you move, but about how long you can stay focused on what matters. Most people quit because they don't see results right away. They expect progress to be visible instantly, and when it's not, they assume it's not working. The 1% know that growth doesn't happen in days, it happens over years. They play the long game, not because it's easy, but because it's the only way to build something that lasts. The truth is, the world has trained most people to crave quick wins. Fast results, instant success, overnight fame. We scroll through social media and see people showing off the highlights, not the years of effort behind them. That creates a false sense of how success works. The 99% get addicted to the dopamine of quick rewards, but the 1% learn to delay gratification. They understand that if you can sacrifice short-term pleasure for long-term purpose, you'll always win in the end. They're not chasing applause, they're building foundations. Thinking long-term means understanding that every small decision compounds. The book you read today might not change you. Our life tomorrow, but it might change the way you think forever. The extra hour of work, the small act of discipline, the daily repetition, they all add up. The 1% treat every action as a seed. They plant it, water it, and protect it, even when there's no sign of growth yet. They know that real success takes time, patience, and trust in the process. They don't dig up the seed to check if it's growing. They keep nurturing it because they know the harvest will come. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they lose patience. They change directions too often, chasing new ideas, new trends, or new shortcuts. The 1% commit to their path and adjust along the way, but they don't abandon the mission every time it gets hard. They understand that mastery takes repetition and excellence takes time. They'd rather build something slowly and solidly than rush and watch it crumble. They think years ahead, while others think hours ahead. Thinking long-term also requires emotion. Control. It's easy to make decisions based on how you feel today. It's harder to make decisions that your future self will thank you for. The 1% train themselves to make choices for who they want to become, not for who they are now. They ask, Will this matter in 5 years? And most of the time, that question brings clarity. They know the temporary satisfaction of quitting never outweighs the lasting regret of giving up too soon. When you think long term, you stop comparing your timeline to others. You realize that what's meant for you will come, but only if you stay consistent and patient. You learn to trust that slow progress is still progress. Every day you stay committed, every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're building momentum that can't be taken away. That's what the one know. The future doesn't belong to the fastest, it belongs to the most focused. Fear is something every single person feels, but the difference lies in what you do with it. The 1% don't wait for fear to disappear, they use it as fuel. They've learned that fear isn't a stop sign, it's a signal pointing towards something meaningful. The presence of fear usually means you're standing on the edge of growth. Most people run the other way, searching for comfort and safety, but the 1% understand that comfort is where dreams go to die. They move through fear, not because they're fearless, but because they've decided that staying stuck is scarier than failing. The truth is, fear never goes away. It just changes shape as you grow. When you start something new, you fear being judged. When you get good at it, you fear losing it. When you achieve success, you fear not living up to it. The 1% accept that fear is part of the process. They've stopped waiting for courage to show up first. They know courage is born in the moment you act, not before. Every time you take action while afraid, you weaken fear's grip on you. Most people spend their lives running from fear, creating excuse. As it sound logical, they say, it's not the right time, or I'm not ready. But beneath those words is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. The 1% call that out. They know fear disguises itself as logic, but it's really self-preservation. They refuse to let that voice control them. They feel the fear, acknowledge it, and still take the step forward. That's what separates those who live with regret from those who live with purpose. When you reframe fear, it becomes a guide. Instead of asking, what if I fail? The one asks, what if I don't try? They know that failure is feedback, not final. Every mistake carries a lesson that moves them closer to mastery. They understand that rejection builds resilience, that embarrassment builds humility, and that taking risks builds character. The people who make the biggest impact are the ones who've fallen the most, not because they're unlucky, but because they've dared to try more times than anyone else. Fear is energy. You can let it drain you, or you can channel it. The 1% use that adrenaline to focus, to push, to stay alert. They don't interpret the racing heart or nervous energy as danger. They see it as a sign they're doing something meaningful. They use fear as a compass, knowing that what scares them often aligns with what will grow them. Every time they step into fear, they expand their limits, and what once terrified them becomes normal. The 1% live by one simple truth: growth and fear coexist. You can't have one without the other. They stop asking for the path to be easy and instead ask to be stronger. They know fear is not their enemy but their teacher. It's proof they're alive, evolving, and chasing something bigger than their comfort zone. That's the secret, not avoiding fear, but mastering the art of walking straight through it. Winning the day is one of the most powerful habits of the 1% because it keeps success simple and grounded in action. Most people overwhelm themselves thinking about the big picture, the 5-year plan, the dream life, the huge goals. But those things don't get built in one giant leap. They're built one focused day at a time. The 1% know that what you do today matters more than what you plan to do someday. They don't wait for perfect timing or ideal conditions. They wake up and ask one question: how can I win this day? Then they do it with full commitment. Winning the day doesn't mean achieving something massive every 24 hours. It means showing up, keeping promises to yourself, and moving forward even slightly. It means doing the workout when you'd rather skip it, making that uncomfortable call, or working on your craft for one more hour when no one is watching. The 1% understand that success is built through ordinary days stacked with extraordinary discipline. They focus on controlling what they can control today: their mindset, their habits, and their effort. That's how they build momentum that never stops. Most people get stuck because they overthink. They worry about how far they still have to go, and that creates paralysis. The 1% don't think like that. They zoom in, narrow their focus, and take the next best step. They know that a mountain is climbed one step at a time. They don't waste energy on what's out of reach. They master what's right in front of them. When you start thinking like this, every day becomes an opportunity, not an obstacle. You stop being overwhelmed by the future because you're too busy owning the present. Winning the day also builds trust and identity. Every time you finish what you said you would, you send a message to your subconscious, I can rely on me. That repetition builds inner strength and confidence. You stop waiting for motivation because your consistency becomes your motivation. You start recognizing patterns. When you win your mornings, you win your mindset. When you win your mindset, you win your choices. The 1% live by this rhythm. They don't need big wins to stay inspired. They stay inspired because they keep winning small. The beauty of this mindset is that it makes success manageable. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to master today. You don't have to conquer the year. You just have to conquer the next 24 hours. The 1% don't talk about what they're going to do. They execute. They understand that momentum doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. And every day you do what you said you'd do, you're building a version of yourself that's unstoppable. That's the quiet power of winning the day. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's consistent. It's about stacking small wins until they become unstoppable momentum. The 1% know that greatness isn't built in the future. It's built in the choices you make today, repeated day after day until success is no longer something you chase, but something you become. Here's a powerful speech conclusion and goodbye note in the same motivational emote. Ionally charged style, perfectly matching the 1% mentality, speech, tone, and rhythm. Every single one of us has the potential to rise above average, but potential means nothing without action. The 1% mentality isn't about being born different, it's about deciding to be different. It's about waking up every morning and choosing discipline over distraction, progress over perfection, and purpose over comfort. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You just need to start by changing one choice today. That one choice becomes a habit, that habit becomes a standard, and that standard becomes your identity. That's how transformation happens. Slowly, silently, and consistently. The 1% don't have more time, more luck, or more talent. They simply refuse to waste their lives waiting. They act, they adapt, they keep going. And that's the difference. So from this moment on, stop wishing, stop comparing, and stop waiting for the right time. The right time is now, if you want to. Be part of the 1%. You must think differently, move differently, and believe differently. You have to look fear in the face and walk through it. You have to keep showing up even when it's not easy, even when no one claps, even when progress is invisible. Because one day, all those small, quiet moments of consistency will become the loudest proof that you never gave up. You are capable of more than you think. You are stronger than your excuses, tougher than your fears, and closer to your breakthrough than you realize. The question is, are you willing to live like the 1%? Your future isn't waiting for someone else to hand it to you. It's waiting for you to claim it. So start where you are, use what you have, and give it everything you've got. Because the world doesn't remember the ones who talked about it. It remembers the ones who did it. Now go out there and win your day again and again. Stack your small victories until they become your legacy. Remember, success doesn't happen so. Midday. It happens when you decide to live with the 1% mentality every single day. Thank you for listening and for showing up for yourself today. If this message spoke to you, let it move you into action. Don't just feel inspired, be transformed. Every view, every listen, every second you spend on growth matters. Keep showing up, keep believing, keep becoming the person your future self will thank you for. Until next time, stay focused, stay driven, and remember, you are the one to